Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Extra Time TV. This is Andres Oclao.
I'm Campbell.
I came on today for all Trinidadians, well Trinbagonians, because somebody made sure and comment and let us know Trinidad and Tobago.
Yep.
So
Twin Island.
Yes. So it's Twin Islands, we're acknowledging our sister isle.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we have a new coach. Dennis Lawrence has been appointed. We spoke about it, but then, he had his official press release today. And as we saw in a little preview I did on Facebook and YouTube, we got a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, a bomb.
Literally a bomb. I tried to do that as much as possible. Former Arsenal legend, Mr. Invincible, 3 Lions himself, Sol Campbell, was announced as part of Dennis Lawrence's coaching staff.
Yeah.
Kevin, what do you think about that?
Really impressive entry. Really impressive. Sol Campbell comes in, bags of experience, winning titles. You can't ask for a more decorated and better English centre back.
Yes.
But it's a coach. It's a coaching position, so he needs to show that he is up to the task and he's ready to roll his sleeves up and work for the Trinidad cause.
Yep.
Now, I like to come as a player. He's a leader, a genuine leader, and he led Portsmouth to FA Cup glory and was part of a miraculous Arsenal back four.
Yep.
But Andre, this guy has been out of football for the last 5 years?
About 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking about Campbell, and he wants to get back into coaching, but after he retired, he actually was in politics and was managing his wife's designing company. So he needs to get back into the groove of things. He needs to get back into figuring out what he needs to do as a coach. That said, he does have his badges and his UEFA Pro license. So he has shown his endeavor in this field. Andre, I see him working good alongside Dennis Lawrence because, in a sense, Dennis Lawrence, he has the know-it-all of Trinidad football. And they'll complement each other because even though they are on the same age, Lawrence actually has more coaching experience than Campbell, having coached with Everton and Wigan. So it should be a decent enough match.
Yep. Once you get past the fanboyism of Sol Campbell, I was excited. I'm not even an Arsenal fan. I always rag on England all the time.
Yeah.
But I think he was the last generation of really good, top-class English centre-backs. You have Cahill and those guys, but Sol Campbell's a different breed. When they played Barcelona in the Champions League finals back in Rijkaard days, he was a monster.
06.
I think he scored a goal in that game.
Before halftime.
He was just a monster. He's always remind me, and this is really off the from that guy, and I'll put a picture right here from Anaconda and all those other movies. I always thought he was a stunt double. But all that aside, you raised a really interesting point. Sol Campbell as a coach.
Yeah.
We love him as a player, but is he, first of all, the right guy? Maybe. Obviously, Dennis Lawrence is a guy he is allowed to choose his team. That's what the president said today. Yeah. He was allowed to choose his team. Sol Campbell, obviously, even if he doesn't have coaching experience, he has experience as a defender at the highest level. Well, we saw it recently about Inter Milan, which we're going to talk about in a while.
Yeah.
Walter Samuel, who was a very powerful centre-back.
No nonsense.
Yep.
The wall.
Returned to Inter Milan and added his defensive expertise to the team.
Yeah.
And Inter Milan have not conceded in a while and drastically improved. The same Inter Milan that was a disaster a couple of weeks ago. I could see him, Dennis Lawrence knows what he's doing. He brought him in for that purpose. Sol Campbell, there's a well-documented history in England that, black coaches have had problems breaking in. There have been complaints. They show racism, the red card campaign. A lot of the coaches spoke about it's very difficult for non-white coaches, which is a whole topic by itself. But in the context of Trinidad, my biggest fear is that, oh wow, so Sol Campbell, great Mr. Arsenal, Dennis Lawrence, who's loved by the fans, but will they get what they need? We keep saying this. We spoke about this before when they made the appointment with St. Feet. Will he get what he needs? Does the president and the technical team learn and decide, we're going to back off and let him do his job? Because according to the press conference today, the president indicated that Dennis Lawrence was allowed to pick his own staff. So I have some concerns. I'm scared because it's very exciting. The fanboy in me is like, yes, but I have some huge concerns. And my biggest obstacle for these 2 guys is them having a local guy to be that,
liaison.
For understanding the local players, which I think was what also undid St. Feet.
Yeah.
So, Kevon, I don't know. As much as I'm excited, I'm also very concerned.
Yeah, I mean, those obstacles will be there no matter what. But Andre, I'm thinking about the players. And if I'm a player for Trinidad Tobago, and
Campbell.
I would be really hyped up about having Saul speak to me about my positioning, speak to me about the professionalism of being a player. So that in itself is a big coup if I were a Trinidad player. And I would more gravitate, I would more want to lend my ear and do what Saul Campbell says. Compared to maybe other coaches, regional, foreign, or local. So that could be a big plus for us. Also, I think Saul knows what it takes to qualify for major tournaments. I mean, he qualified for 6 consecutive tournaments for England, which is in fact the most for any English footballer. And also, what he brings is that at leadership, I said. I mean, he was England's 2nd youngest ever captain, which says a lot. And I think that with Saul, he can provide a good base and a good change of ideas, because his philosophy could be different from Lawrence, and it would incorporate a different style to Lawrence, because again, his personality. I mean, I've watched a few interviews with him in the past, and remember him being very opinionated about football, about certain aspects of the game. So I can see where he brings that opinionated mindset into the team and into the dynamic of the Trinidad Federation. And maybe we, the Federation itself, can learn from what examples he may want to set, having spent time in a couple of Europe's top clubs, Spurs and Arsenal and Newcastle. And I would see his leadership being key. But again, the obstacles that we have with Trinidad, he will not be accustomed to. And if he comes in with a mindset that, okay, our federation runs smoothly, and he's going to give them every possible chance to succeed by providing everything, then it's not going to be smooth sailing.
If you think Arsenal was bad.
So I think that he could be overawed in that aspect if he doesn't adjust his mindset. Because if he comes in thinking, okay, I'm going to be given tools, no. And Andrew, we've seen foreign coaches in the past having not been given tools, they often don't know what to do, and they sometimes get frustrated to the point where they just leave. So it could be a complete disaster, but I'm really hoping that he sticks with it, and whatever troubles that they give him, he takes it and he just overcomes it. That's what I really, really hope comes out of this country.
And listen, we all want the best outcome. In fact, this is where Stephen Hart was a bit unique, because Stephen Hart was that unique coach where he understood the obstacles of Trinidad, he understood the problems that surrounded the football environment, and he was able to work around it. Maybe he should have been more vocal, who knows, but now he's gone. Dennis Lawrence should have been the guy afterwards. You could see that some thought went in this time. The other one was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. It didn't seem, I don't know if that's true, it didn't seem like they planned too much, and then they brought in St. Feet, and we saw what happened there. You could tell there was a bit more thought into this, and if it's one thing we definitely want to get from these two guys, I mean, a top class defender like Campbell, and Lawrence is no slouch. I mean, let's be real, he's one of our best defenders. We're definitely going to have a strong defensive team. We know that for sure. That's one of my biggest things. But I have the same concern you have. I am worried that they're going to come down here. Even Trinidadians who come back often forget sometimes some of the cultural changes that we'll have. Like Dennis Lawrence said in the press conference today, that he played, for no money up until he went to Wigan. And he should play for free because he loved the game. And wearing the national jersey is an honor. But Wrexham, what am I saying, Wigan. And when playing for the national team is an honor. But then you say any guy that doesn't show that shouldn't really belong on the national team. And it may be a bit of naivety on his part, because he's going to come back and realize it's not how he remembers. He said I adopted a professional attitude. So I would love to see how Dennis Lawrence handles that. I would think that the Saul Campbell, maybe his ace, where he comes in and, wow, Saul Campbell. I mean, if Saul Campbell comes, I would go outside and do whatever he says right now. Andre, do that. Oh, okay.
100 push-ups, Andre.
Show's over. Let's go do 100 push-ups. But
I'll be there too.
We can only hope for the best, and I don't want to ramble too much, but the key thing is, for me, is that there's 2 key points for me. Is that Trinidad needs results now. are we the type of organization that's going to just dump him if it doesn't work? Because it's a very real possibility, and maybe the fans as well need to prepare themselves that there's only so much a coach could do in a short period of time. I don't care who it is. It could be Jose Mourinho, Dennis Lawrence. It could be my coach from where I live. You need time to prepare players, and my guess is, and Dennis Lawrence deserves some kudos for this. He was very savvy in his negotiating. You know, he had no problem saying, no, I don't agree with this. So he negotiated a nice contract for himself. And I hope they give him the time he needs. I think a coach really needs about maybe 4 years to really implement his philosophy, like Tavares from Uruguay. He was having a horrible time when he first took over. So just to round that off, you know, I wish Dennis Lawrence as a Trinidad Tobago fan, the best of luck. So Kevin, you know, any final thoughts?
Andre, with Dennis Lawrence, what I only think is that I only hope doesn't happen is when we look at young managers going back to countries or clubs that they love and that love them and they fail, it can probably mean the end of them. I'm thinking about Alan Shearer going back to Tyneside and failing as a manager, getting relegated, and after that he doesn't even want to go back to management. It was so catastrophic and so horrific. So let's hope that doesn't happen with Dennis. And with Saul, I can't wait to see what his work he's been done, because a lot is expected of him. A lot.
I think, you know, Dennis Lawrence and Saul Campbell should have been the beginning of a cycle. People forget that he was never a head coach. So that is a huge transition. We are very impatient football in public. We want top level results, but we don't really care to pay attention to the details. So as you said, I'm a bit worried.
And kudos to Lawrence for taking it and showing the mettle and showing that he wants to progress as a top head coach, because a lot of coaches, Andrew, they're just set up for being assistant managers for their entire career. Like a couple of Rui Faria, Mourinho's assistants. But I like what Paul Clement, the now Swansea manager who's coaching in Bayern and Real as assistant coaches, and he now progressed. So I like that move from Lawrence. It shows initiative and it shows what he wants to be as a person and a professional.
And you know, I said I was going to end it, but the conversation going so well. Listen, Carlos Queiroz is a good example. For those of you who follow Manchester United, you know, he's a perfect example of how it could go both ways. He went on his own journey with Sir Alex Ferguson's blessing, went to Real Madrid, started off really well, and then he went to Portugal for a while. And then he ended up going back to Manchester United for a little while.
And it was ended up in Iran as well.
And you never really saw him that much again. Funny enough, he played a friendly against Trinidad. You know, that is probably, in a lot of ways, the best way it could go. But there are other coaches who took the role, Shearer and so on, and completely crashed. So Queiroz is a good example of how it could possibly go well, because he did okay. I mean, Real Madrid is a hot seat for anyone. He did okay with Portugal, I think. I think he's an alright coach. And I hope... but some coaches, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So I hope it works with Dennis Lawrence. That's my honest opinion. We said it about 5,000 times, but I'm excited. But you know, another side of me is kind of scared at the same time. So with that being said, Kevin, where can we find you?
Kev868 on Twitter and Instagram, Andrew.
You could find me at Andrew Suklal on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because when you do that, you get the secret to eternal life. Okay, no. You get and possibly a copy of FIFA 17. So, stay tuned.
Ask questions, because we answer them all.
Yes.
Okay guys, so don't forget, if you like and subscribe our page on YouTube, Extra Time TV, you instantly qualify to win a copy of FIFA 17. So don't forget, like and subscribe.